4 stars out of 5, and I think it might be in my top 2 Studio Ghibli films, alongside From Upon Poppy Hill. I really like that as well. But Kiki's Delivery Service is about a girl called Kiki who is a witch, and when a witch is 13 they have to like move away from home for a year, like to live independently. The concept of this film is really hard to explain because it just sounds really strange. But she moves to this town and there are no other witches there, and so she starts her own business as like a courier service or a delivery service, but by air, because she can like fly on her broomstick. It's a strange concept, but I really enjoyed it, and I felt like I was more engaged and interested in the story than some other Studio Ghibli films, and I think that's why I preferred it more. I also loved the animation as usual, and also the soundtrack, very cute. But I would highly recommend it. I think I watched this on Netflix. Yeah. The second film I watched was I Am Ruth, which is a Channel 4 or ITV standalone series. Like each episode is like its own film basically. I think the series is called like I Am ... maybe. But this I Am Ruth stars Kate Winslet and her 2 children in real life, Mia Threepleton and Joandes, I think. I may be wrong, but I think they're their names. And it follows her daughter who struggles with her mental health, and it shows how that affects the life at home, at school, and how she keeps relationships with other people. It talks about the effect that social media has on teenagers, and it's one of those films that's scary because it's so real. It's a common experience for a lot of people, I think, and I think it was a really good portrayal of the teenage mind. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was very emotional, but very moving. And I would really recommend it. It is sad. It's not necessarily a happy film, but it was really good. I think I said it was I rated it 4 stars out of 5, but I rated it 4 stars out of 5 if I didn't already say. Moving on, the next film I watched was Scoop, which was trending number 1 on Netflix, I think, for a week. And this film follows BBC Newsnight, which is a sub-branch of BBC News, and it's an episode of, I don't know, it's just some version of BBC News, and it follows how they got an interview with Prince Andrew during the Jeffrey Epstein Prince Andrew scandal. I rated this film 3 stars out of 5 because I enjoyed it whilst I was watching it, and it informed me about a topic that I knew very little about, or it informed me of a perspective of a topic that I knew very little about. And I had no complaints whilst watching the film. I wasn't bored, and it kept me engaged. However, it's not a film that I would rewatch. I'm not gonna get home and be oh, what film am I gonna watch today? I'm gonna watch Scoop. I'm not gonna do that. But I'm happy that I've watched it, and I'd recommend to you watch it. Because that's why I rated 3 stars and not higher. Yeah. The next film I watched was Call Me By Your Name. I have never seen Call Me By Your Name, and I can't believe I hadn't seen it before. This film was so good. I loved it. I rated it 4.5 stars out of 5, and I gave it a little heart. I liked it. It was so good. I even bought the book, because I heard that the book is better than the film. Like most things, the book is better than the film. But I really wanted to read the book. And controversial. Hello, it's me again. I wanted to come on here and discuss some of the opinions and like criticisms for this film, but I felt like I did it in a bad, like I didn't explain myself properly in the video, so I'm gonna do it here. But a lot of people have critiqued this film for promoting and like glamorizing age gap relationships, and I feel like, in my opinion, and I've been seeing some stuff online about it, a lot of people think that this film is proving that these kind of relationships are harmful and they don't work out in the end, and so I don't think this film is showing that. But then I've also seen a lot of criticisms of like the director and his views, and I don't know, I feel like it's a very, like, just a very controversial film, so I don't know, I enjoyed it whilst I was watching it, and that is what I'm saying in the video, basically. Yeah, thank you. But the cinematography is amazing, the music is amazing, some of it is performed by Stevens. So good. It's an emotional film as well. I think I cried. Yeah, I would highly recommend. I think it was on Netflix. The next film I watched was Scream, so a bit of a change of genre. I've seen Scream 6, but I haven't seen the first 5, and I don't like horror films, but I thought, no, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna watch a horror film, and I really like this film. I was really scared for like the first 15-20 minutes, but then after that I really enjoyed it, and I was like interested in wanting to know what happens. I mean, I knew who Ghostface was, but I still was interested in finding out how it plays out. Although every time Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard came on screen, all I could think about was F.P. Jones from Riverdale or Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Like, every time they came on, so I feel like that made it less scary for me. So I'm taking that as a good thing. Yeah, but I rated it 4 stars out of 5. If I didn't already say, I can't remember. The next film I watched was a bit random. I watched Dr. No, like the James Bond, like the first of the James Bond films. Rated this film 3 stars out of 5 because I enjoyed it, but it was made in 1962, and I believe a lot of it is outdated. Maybe it should have been a 2.5 out of 5. I don't know. Moving on. I then watched Cars, as in Lightning McQueen. I watched Cars 2 and Cars 3 in the same day. So yeah, the first one I rated 4 stars out of 5. I love an animated film, love a kids film. I loved it. I think I've only seen Cars once, but anyway, then when I watched Cars 2, I rated 3 stars out of 5 because I was kind of like, this is ridiculous. These cars could not have built the buildings that they are driving around. They couldn't have built the infrastructure that is in their world. So I know it's a kids film, but I just couldn't. It was getting too ridiculous. And then Cars 3, I rated 2 stars out of 5 because it just got worse, and I just didn't care that much about the storyline. It was the fact that there's a part where they're like in a Grand Prix and it's set in Japan, and then there's like this flashback to like ancient Japan, and then there's cars, and I'm like, there were no electric cars or whatever they are, or race cars, or like any type of car in ancient Japan. And I know that's me taking it too seriously because it's a kids film about talking cars, but it was just so unbelievable that I didn't like it. Moving on. The next film I watched was Arrival. I had never heard anything about this film until someone at my old job recommended that I watch it, and he also recommended that I should have watched Heat, which I did a couple of months ago, and I loved that, so I thought I should actually listen to his recommendations. This is a film by Denis Villeneuve, multiple alien spaceships or spacecraft that land on Earth in different areas of the world, and we just follow it from the America. I'm assuming it's the space thing that landed in America. So it's got Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner in it, and basically Amy Adams is like a linguist, expert, professor person, and she's hired to try and talk to these aliens and communicate, and basically try and get through the language barrier, because they do not speak, aliens don't speak English in this film, and so she has to crack a code basically of what are the aliens saying to her, because obviously their alphabet is different and things like that. And I think Jeremy Renner's character is some sort of scientist or physics person, I don't know, I'm not very good with things like that, but he's also there to help, and it was really good. I didn't really know what I was going into other than it was about aliens, but I enjoyed it and I rated it 3.5 stars out of 5. The reasons I didn't give it anything higher was probably because it was quite a slow paced film, and I think if I was in the cinema I would have loved this film because I feel like it's more immersive. But if I was watching it in my room, I'd get distracted a bit more because it's a slow paced film. But anyway, I still enjoyed it and I would still recommend it. It's also on Netflix. The next film I watched was Beetlejuice. I've also never seen Beetlejuice, but I saw that there was a trailer for the new Beetlejuice, which is called Beetlejuice, which comes out later this year, and I was so excited for that. It's got Jenna Ortega, Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, I don't think Gina Davis, and is it Alec Baldwin? I don't think they're in it, but anyway, I loved Beetlejuice. I rated it 4.5 stars out of 5, and I gave it a little heart, I loved it. I loved it. I don't even know how to explain what happens in Beetlejuice. This couple, they are ghosts, and a new family comes to live in their house, and the couple want to get rid of them, and they summon Beetlejuice to come and scare them away. It was very good. I loved the music as well. The dining room table scene, loved it. Oh, it's also got the actor from Home Alone, and I feel like she would hate to be known as the mum from Home Alone, but Catherine O'Hara, she is the mum from Home Alone. Yeah, she was in it as well, and it was very good. Would recommend if you haven't seen it. Okay, the next film I watched was Cabaret, the 1972 version. Again, I loved this film. I watched it on DVD actually. This follows I think it's Berlin 1931 at the Kit Kat Club, and which basically they perform and sing and dance. And it follows inside the Kit Kat Club, and then obviously the outside world in 1930s. Berlin is the growing. There's a lot of political stuff happening. I don't want to say words that will get me banned on YouTube, so it's just the rise of political parties in Berlin and the brewing of war. That's what I'm gonna say. And it follows Liza Minnelli's character, Sally Bowles, and it's so good. I've been thinking about this film a lot, and I've been thinking about the music. I love the music in this. I just love things like this, the performance side of it. I love things like that. Even though I can't sing, dance, or act, if I could, I would be in one of those films. Anyway, the next film I watched was Civil War. Another film that I loved. I watched this in the cinema, and pictures in the middle of a war. Like, that must be like so scary. And it has Kirsten Dunst in it. And it basically follows them travelling to Washington DC to try and get an interview with the president. But it's hard because on the way there's like blockades and there's like people like stopping people from getting out of certain states, and obviously the president is heavily guarded and he's not gonna just want to do an interview in the middle of a civil war kind of thing. This film though, the sounds, it was so like immersive. Like, I felt like I was there, and there was like, I think I cried. It was like, there was some bits that were sad, but like most people wouldn't cry at them, but I did. It was just very like moving, and emotional, and tense. Like, it's a slow paced film, a slow burn action film, I guess. Like, the first half, like, it's like quite slow paced at the beginning, but I was so invested, and then like the second half is like so much adrenaline. I would literally recommend it so much. Yeah, okay. Then the last two films I watched, ending on a bad note for the month, they were my least favourite films of the month. I watched Challengers. I watched it in the cinema on the day that it came out. I wasn't impressed, but maybe I need to go and watch it again because I was confused. If you've not seen it and you don't want any spoilers, just skip. But basically, the first this film is about tennis, if you do not know, and it has Zendaya in it. The acting was really good, like, throughout. Like, I'm not like gonna be like I didn't like Zendaya in this film, because that's not true. It was just the way that it was like put together and like edited and produced, and I think Zendaya produced it, but I'm assuming she wasn't the only producer. There would have been other people, but it felt like the first half I was really invested and like I cared about the story, but the second half it was like they handed over all the scenes and gave it to a group of like 15-year-old film students, and they had to like tick off a checklist of every special effect and like production, like cut and like scene and like effect ever, and they had to tick all of them off and put them in the second half of the film, because there was this one scene where there's like these two men, two of the main characters, in a sauna, and they're talking. I can't remember what about, because suddenly someone presses a button like in the production team, and there's like techno rave music playing over the top of their conversation, and this happens so many times. Like, during a conversation, there's no like action montage scene with music. I would understand if it was like that, but it's like a random dialogue scene, and there's like rave music like playing so loud over the conversation. It was weird. Then there was like these slow-mo shots that were like 20 seconds long. It'd be like someone gets out of a car and it's like it was just so weird. Maybe I just didn't get it. Maybe like I've seen people say that it was done like that because tennis is such like a fast-paced, tense sport. I just didn't get it. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I need to go watch it again. Anyway, finally, the last film I watched was called The Souvenir. I rated this 2.5 stars out of 5. I also rated Challengers 2.5 stars out of 5, if I didn't already say. But The Souvenir has, what was her name? Honor Swinton Byron, Tilda Swinton's daughter. Tilda Swinton, what's that man's name? Tom Burke, and Richard Ayoade's in it as well. It basically follows it's also a slow-paced film, and sometimes it was too slow. Maybe it's because I just didn't have that connection with the characters, so I just didn't care. But there is a second one. There's a second film, and I will not be watching that. But I don't watch a lot of films that have like bad relationships in them, I guess, other than Call Me By Your Name, which I just had a whole rant about toxic relationships. But I don't normally watch films like this, and it's interesting